Welcome back to the off-road camper. Well, we did a thing and we took the Jeep all the way to Portland. Right now it's stashed away at a buddy's house. It goes into the shop Wednesday so they can diagnose what's going on with it and see if they can get it fixed. And then while we were there, so we wouldn't be without a vehicle, we picked up this beast. $1999 Ford E450 4x4. The 4x4 conversion was done by John at Quad Van in Portland. It's got little tiny tires. Tires are smaller than my Jeep. In fact, I think they're smaller than my off-road trailer. So that's going to have to be changed. But we got a 14-foot box. It's got a lift gate on the back, which you don't really need, but you know, a lot of people use those as decks, so it'll stay for now. It's got a dual battery system in here. It's locked right now. Anyway, there's dual batteries in there, and somewhere on board there is an inverter, because if you walk around here to the other side of the truck, we got AC power. So there's outlets there. There's another outlet on the outside in that battery box. I also have some DC circuits here. See here. Okay, that switch there is for those rear lights back there. Some little LED lamps. I'm not sure. Oh, those are the outside lights, I believe. So it's got a ambulance high power LED lights on each side on the front of the box, and then one in the front nose cap. So but apparently, since there is power here, or at least a breaker box, in order to have AC, it has to have an inverter on board somewhere. Now, he did give me this thing here and that electric heater. And apparently they used to be wired into that piece of conduit. Not that it's really all that important, but here's the back of the LED ambulance lights right here. So anyway, it's a 14-foot box. I believe it's 8x8 inside. It's got a roll-up door with the lift gate. He's, like I said, he's got a couple of lights in here. He got this one here. There's another one similar to that, stuffed up here behind these wires. Not sure if it's connected to anything, but it is there. It's got a wood deck floor. It's not an aluminum floor. I would have preferred aluminum, but it is what it is. Just means more work when I go to put an actual floor in here. This board here needs to be replaced. It's got some rot and some damage, I guess, right there. Looks like there was a leak at some point. This is all damp here. So that's all gonna have to get pulled down and a leak checked. Gave me a vent here and a couple of Coleman things, a Coleman heater and a Coleman stove that he had already in here, because so there is a hole there for that vent. So I'm not sure how well sealed up that vent is, but obviously water was getting in here at some point. So it's just a matter of pulling these roof panels down and tracking down any leak that might be there and sealing it up. So, but it does have a pass-through. It's just covered up with this piece of plywood here. So this apparently can all be unscrewed, and you have a pass-through to the cab. And of course, it has the cutaway board still behind the cab, but that also unscrews. So we will look at that at a later date. But the big thing about this thing is I drove the seller around when he drove it all the way from Seattle to Portland for me to check it out. And I drove it around 4 or 5 miles, and then I took him to the airport, which is probably another 4 or 5 miles, and drove it back. And I noticed it was a little noisy when I first started it up and drove it, but I didn't think it was too bad. And then on the way out here, I don't know if it got noisier or if it was my ears, but she got real noisy. And it was so loud. It was deafening loud. I mean, I've driven LMTVs without air muffs, and this thing's louder. So I don't know if there's any sound insulation in this thing at all. I suspect that there is not. But I mean, I stopped twice just to check to make sure the muffler didn't fall off. It was so damn loud. Anyway, it's got quad van 4-wheel drive system, so you got the manual locking hubs here. It's got dual Bilstein shocks. The whole front end is all OEM Ford. And it has OEM Ford control arms and John's brackets to mount those. And it's got some nice rims on it, although they're kind of an oddball size. They're 17s, and I think they're 17 by 6. They might be 17 by 7. Like I said, these tires are tiny. But I honestly think the tires that I had on my Ford Focus might have been the same size as these. So they're small. And apparently the seller told me he drove it from Seattle to Portland and only used a quarter of a tank. But I drove it from Portland to Rainier and used another quarter tank of fuel. And that's only like 68 miles or 72 miles, something like that. So I'm not sure why the gas mileage all of a sudden got so bad. But anyway, so this is the new rig. So I mean, it's a work truck. There's no question about that, and it has been a work truck, and it needs some work, but you're not going to find too many that don't need work unless they've already been restored. So, I mean, providing that everything is good with the engine, it seems to drive fine, although coming up the hill outside of Rainier towards after the Longview Bridge, it was really struggling to get up that hill. It would barely do 50 miles an hour, and she was kicking down in a low gear and then popping back up and then kicking down, and just really struggling hard to do 50 up that hill. I do 90 up that in my Jeep Grand Cherokee, so no problem at all. But it does have some aftermarket, looks like an LED halo light in the headlights, and it also has a anti-theft tracking device on it that is not on right now, but you showed me how to enable it or de-able it, so it can be tracked if it ever gets stolen. I mean, it's not too bad. Outside cosmetically, she looks good. The cab is really solid. The box is in decent shape. There's one little ding in the aluminum on the front corner right here. That could easily be popped back out. Just got to pull the inside panel off and push it back out. Not a big deal. So we put some money into it. It's got all brand new badges on it. It's got a new bumper. It's got a new grille. It's got all the lights are LED as far as I can tell. So got those ambulance. There's an ambulance light there, which is high power LED, one on each side on the front. It has a front and rear camera. There's one there, one on the back of the box somewhere. The screen view from those cameras is really hazy, so it's not the best, but you know, what can you say? So anyway, that's the purchase, and it was this or an LMTV, and the only LMTVs I could find locally had a lot of miles on them and were of questionable health. So this was slightly more than the two LMTVs I was looking for. And then I was also really worried about the volume, the cab volume on the LMTV. However, this thing, like I said, is just insanely loud. My ears are still adjusting, and I've been here for a half hour. So anyway, as always, like, subscribe, and share. And have any comments, please leave them below.